Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome once again to the Great Lakes Health Radio program on Power 96.5, 1080 AM WUFO. I'm your host, Francesca Messiah from Kaleida Health, Manager, Workforce Development. As we end the year, we only have a few more weeks left in our 2024 year. I want to focus, especially this month. This is the second month. This is the second Saturday, and the second and the fourth Saturday, it's Colitis Saturday, on prevention and tips for as we enter the new year. So it's not about beginning the new year with being healthy. We're going to end the new year with tips on being healthy, which will then lead us into the new year. And as you think about your New Year's resolutions, give you something to think about. Well, I always start with who is Kaleida Health, and because I still get that question in the community. Kaleida Health, we're the hospitals. We are Buffalo General Medical Center. We are Oishei Children's Hospital, Gates Vascular Institute. We are also in North Tonawanda at DeGraff Medical Campus. We also have the Gates Vascular Institute. We have two long-term care facilities, one at DeGraff in North Tonawanda, the other one in Buffalo called High Point at Michigan and High Street. Also, Kaleida Health is affiliated, partners with General Physicians Practice. General Physicians Practice has a beautiful new building, and they have all kinds of medical services, including women's services, nutritional services, on Main Street across from Wendy's. I'm not sure of what that corner is. I should know the name of it, but it's right there on Wendy's, right there on Main Street, 2 blocks from Buffalo General Medical Center. We also have pediatric clinics not only within the Oishei building, we also have Niagara Peds. We also have pediatric office on Broadway Avenue. We have women's services on Niagara Street, as well as on the ECMC campus. We also have hospitals in Olean and near Olean towards that part of Pennsylvania. So as you can see, Kaleida Health is large. We're Western New York's largest healthcare system with over 10,000 employees. And we have over 900 positions available that need to be filled. Positions from high school degree all the way up to a PhD and everything in between. For information on that, please visit our website, KaleidaHealth.org/careers. Or when you get to the Kaleida website and the search engine, the search box, just click on careers. Well, our guest for today is not a stranger to the show. However, it's a very important topic that disproportionately affects the Black and Brown community. And what is that? Strokes. Stroke. Our guest for today is Dr. Emmett Kendall. Good morning, Dr. Kendall. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Francesca. Thank you for having me here, and I'm
Oh,
doing really well. Thank you.
you're welcome. Dr. Kendall is a corporate medical. He is the corporate medical director for stroke services at Buffalo General Medical Center and Gates Vascular Institute. Did I leave any other part of your title out, Dr. Kendall?
No, that's the most important one. Thank you.
Okay. And the reason why I know I've been sitting on the stroke committee for many years at Buffalo General Hospital, and I have learned so much about stroke. Plus, I've had family members who have had strokes. And the topic for today, there is now a stroke survivors group. The stroke survivors group is for the community and for stroke survivors and their family members. And even if your loved one has not survived a stroke, you are welcome to come. And that's our topic for today. So, Dr. Kendall, let's just begin with please define what is a stroke and how does it happen? How does one get a stroke?
Definitely. Thank you, Francisca. So, stroke is a disease of brain, which is caused by the problem in the blood vessel. So, the problem starts from the blood vessel, but the brain cells get injured. And because of that injury, it's life-threatening disease as well as it's a extremely disabling disease. So there are different ways to define a stroke. Some people call it a brain attack. Some people call it a cerebrovascular accident. But I mean, the best way to define a stroke is it's an attack to a livelihood. Not only it attacks the brain, it attacks that personality, their livelihood, the role of the community, the whole family is affected. So it's a disease that starts from the brain, but has a lot of impact in the livelihood. Now, if we look at the number, it's extremely common disorder. Almost 2 to 3 out of 100 people in Western New York has a stroke, and it's very common disorder which can lead to death. If we look at the number, it's currently the fifth most common cause of death in the United States. And if we look at the long-term disability, then it's a number one disease and it's extremely common.
Yeah, and Dr. Kendall, I have to mention that not all strokes are debilitating. I have seen people who have had a stroke, and they're able to live their life, keep driving, go attend meetings. I've seen people with the stroke where it's just affected. They've been able to drive and everything, but they have lost their ability to read, and you would never know. And then I've also seen people with strokes where they're unable to move and talk, and they're permanently in a wheelchair. Is there different types of like why does that happen? Why are some people able to move and still function, work and drive? Some people, why all the different variations of a stroke? What happens?
Okay, so then let me start from the beginning. Okay, so let me go with the stroke facts, how common a stroke is, and how it presents. So that will give me enough opportunity to answer the complex question that you have, like why do every stroke outcome is different? So I'll come to that, but allow me to go from the beginning. So it's the brain attack. It starts from the blood vessel, then injures the brain cell. If we look at the distribution, every 40 seconds, someone in the United States has a stroke. And every minute that someone is having a stroke, when we don't intervene, 2 million brain cells die. And it's a leading cause of adult disability. Some people will recover, but that recovery is also relative. Even if they go back to work, they go back to their usual day-to-day activities, stroke does or can change them. It can bring anxiety and depression, just having the stroke. Sometimes it's like a PTSD coming because of the stroke. Now, stroke is common after age 55, but it can happen at any age, at any time. Whenever someone has a stroke, more than two-thirds of the survivor will have some disability. Now, if we look at how common a stroke is, it impacts more than 9 million people in the United States right now. Like if we look at the number of stroke survivor, it's more than 9 million. About 55,000 more women than men have a stroke each year. And every year, about 800,000 people in the United States have a stroke. And out of those, one third, almost 185,000 are repeat stroke. And it's the fifth leading cause of death. If we look at only women, then it's the third leading cause of death. But the main thing is 80% of a stroke are preventable with lifestyle changes. Now, brain has it's like a real estate, right? There is a left side of the brain, there is a right side of the brain. Left side controls the movement and sensation on the right side, and the left side also has a center for language, this number skills, whether it's a written or a spoken language, reasoning, and those scientific function. If we look at the right side of the brain, then it controls the movement, eyesight, sensation on the left, but it also controls the or gives us ability regarding music, spatial orientation, art awareness, creativity, insight, perception about ourselves and perception about the environment. So it all depends where the stroke affected. If it affected in the area that we need for day-to-day activity, then that would be more disabling than if it affects the area where the day-to-day activities are not involved, or the language is not involved, or creativity and insight are not involved. So it all depends on the size of the stroke and where it affects. And that's how we are able to predict the outcome. But even if they or the person who has a stroke, even if they don't have a symptom or the signs that are indicative of disability, still stroke can affect their personality, can affect their mood. And that is why this is such a disabling disease. Everyone look like they are back to normal, but in reality, they are still suffering the consequence of a stroke.
Oh, yeah, and that's yes, and I feel like I've seen it all. Likely will another family member, I mean, you gave some amazing statistics. You know, more than 9 million people have a stroke, 55,000 are women. But how likely is it a disease that if someone in your family has one that someone should be aware of? If your mother had one, should the daughter or the son be aware of, and so on and so on?
Yes, so there are multiple components to that. There is always a lifestyle related thing, but there are inherent risk that comes as well. So in order to answer that, let me go into all the stroke risk factors. So there are two major type of risk factor, one that we can control and one that we cannot, right? For example, age, we cannot control. Family history, if there is a genetic link related to a stroke in the family, then they do have a higher risk of a stroke than other people. Similarly, race and ethnicity. Um, African American people have a higher prevalence of a stroke and higher death rate from a stroke than any other racial group. Then similarly, gender. Women have a lower risk than men before menopause, but more women than men die of a stroke just because women live longer. And then if someone has a prior stroke or TIA, then they tend to have more stroke. Almost 1 in 4 will experience a repeat stroke in next 5 years. So these are the risk factor which are non-modifiable. But if we look at the modifiable risk factor, then we can label it as medical risk factors and behavioral or lifestyle risk factors. Among the medical risk factors, high blood pressure is the most important. And if the blood pressure is more than 130 by 90, then that tells us that in the long run, there is higher risk of a stroke. So you need to work with your healthcare professional to manage your blood pressure and talk to your doctor, as your number may be different for someone over 65. Similarly, diabetes. Having a diabetes increases the risk of a stroke by 2 times, and high blood glucose increases what we call this plaque buildup in blood vessel, and that can lead to stroke. Similarly, high cholesterol, buildup of these fatty deposits in the blood vessel wall leads to the stroke. Similarly, other heart-related problem. One of the most common one is called atrial fibrillation, which is the irregular heart rate, which is extremely common in older population. And having atrial fibrillation increases the stroke risk by fivefold. And if we talk about a lifestyle risk factor, then there are multiple. For example, tobacco use or vaping. Current smokers have a 2 to 4 times increased risk of a stroke compared to non-smokers or those who have quit smoking more than 10 years ago. Similarly, alcohol use. Heavy drinking can increase the risk of a stroke, especially the bleeding type of a stroke. And the recommendation is no more than 2 drinks per day for men and no more than 1 drink per day for non-pregnant women. And pregnant women should not be drinking. Similarly, maintain a healthy weight, like obesity and excessive weight can put a strain on the entire circulatory system, causing problem with the brain and a heart attack. Similarly, increased physical activity will be helpful. Physical activity can help to reduce the stroke risk. A brief 30-minute walk each day can improve the daily health. To tell you frankly, it's just a 15-minute each way, right? So the aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity physical activity per week. And the lastly, eating a healthy diet. And what it means is diet which is rich in fresh fruit, vegetable, and whole grain. Similarly, include a variety of proteins, especially lean meats or fish or beans, tofu. Similarly, minimally processed food and the limit salt intake, limit intake of added sugars, and eat lots of fiber. Those are the things that does help to reduce the stroke risk.
Wow, that is a lot to take in, but you hear that on so many diseases. So what you've said about stroke and what increases your risk of having a stroke are also, if you were talking about diabetes, things to do. I mean, I guess all of these diseases, to me, there is some overlap. And I guess that's what I hear, and that's why I wanted to, towards the end of the year, talk about this because there's just so much overlap. So if you just follow those, what Dr. Kandel just said, everything from watching your blood pressure, your cholesterol, smoking, drinking, excessive drinking, watching your weight, limiting sugar. There are just so many things that will help besides the stroke. Okay, Western New York Stroke Survivors Group. Let's talk about that. Please share with us, why does Western New York need a stroke survivors group?
So this disease comes with so much of variability in terms of how it affects the person and how it affects the caregiver and the family. We have a system at Roswell where there is a cancer survivor group, and that system is extremely useful to navigate the entire health system as well as financial system. Buffalo General, when they come to Buffalo General for acute stroke, we do really good job. And then when they are outside, when we discharge them to their home and the society, then there are new sets of challenges that stroke survivor or people living with the experience face. And it's always better to learn from the peer group because there is no one solution. Every situation has different type of solution, and having people with lived experience come to one place and kind of lead this survivor group is the ultimate way to kind of solve the problem and help each other. So we wanted to make sure that we're not only taking care of patients in the hospital, but we are able to facilitate the process or challenges in the society and community as well. And this stroke survivor group is entirely led by a stroke survivor. We are just facilitating the process, but it's a group run by and run for people with the lived experience.
Yeah. How about someone like myself who um has had a family member with a stroke, but I feel that I have information that I could add to at least listen and see and share the like experiences. Is it open for someone who's had a family member who had a stroke and since gone on to be with the Lord?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's a forum which is open, which is a place to have all this discussion and learn from each other. As a stroke physician, when I go to these meetings, so it happens every third Wednesday at Buffalo General. I get an invaluable insight into a lived experience of survivor, which medical textbook will not be able to teach me. So there are always a lot of things that is discussed there, and we have made a system where every month we have different speaker coming and talking with the group. And we did the survey in the beginning regarding what are the topics that the survivor felt really important, and we are trying to make the presentation based on that survey. Basically, it's shaping our approach to compassionate and patient-centered care, and it has been quite successful. And we do wanna have more members join in and participate, and it's open for everyone.
And you say everyone, but what if someone is 15 years old and they've had a loved one who's lived in the house with them? Because, people do live in multi-generational households. Is that 15-year-old welcome to come and listen and learn and possibly participate if they'd like?
Of, of course, I mean, the first thing is stroke is common in after 55, but people who are younger than 55, they do have a stroke risk as well. Second thing, they have to take care of family member or they know someone who has a stroke. And to tell you frankly, I mean, the stroke prevention starts from younger age. Whatever kids do in high school and middle school, that will shape their risk going forward. So there is no early time to talk about the stroke. Any time, any age is a right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know we have a few minutes left. Where does it take place? How would someone contact you? And is it virtual or in person? So first, how would who would they contact? Is there a phone number for someone to call if they want to, participate? And I think you also provide, nourishment, right? You provide food for
Yes.
people. Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure.
Yes, so it's in Buffalo General, a Swift Auditorium every third Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And valet parking, and those are available and covered by the team. So they can just pull into the main Buffalo General lobby, and the valet can take care of those. We do have flyers to register, and I apologize, I don't have the number with me to call, but I can get that to you. Uh, and we have provided these flyers to all the neurology, and we will try to get to all the primary care providers as well. And if you go to Buffalo General website and search stroke survivor group, then the link is there to register as well. Once you register, your email goes to the listserv, and then you will get updates and everything going forward.
Yeah. And if someone, and for now, I'm going to give, or unless you have a number of the stroke department, but otherwise I can give my number and then I can share your information. And my number You can text me at 716-863-8717. Again, that's 716-863-8717. And when you're sending a text, the first line, put information, something, stroke survivor group. Because if I don't see stroke survivor group, I may think it's a crank text. So please, if you need information, I will be more than happy to share it with you. 716-863-8717. And then I'll put you in touch with Dr. Kendall, or the number for the to register. I think we have about 2 more minutes. What's something you would like to share with our listeners that we haven't discussed, or please feel to cover something we have discussed?
Yeah, I mean, the stroke is extremely common. Like I could not go into population at risk. Those things we might cover in the next session. But it's an extremely common disorder. It has life-threatening result as well as disabling result, and 80% is preventable if we take care of blood pressure, glucose, cholesterol, and our lifestyle. So, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Even if you could reduce your risk by 10%, 20%, you will see the benefit in terms of stroke occurrence. So less stroke will occur if those risk factors are controlled, even in a small degree. So I would say that everyone should be looking into the lifestyle as well as the blood pressure. Blood pressure is the key.
Blood pressure is definitely is the key. And there's so many things we can eat the same foods, just eat them differently. Some food, I know it's holidays coming up. We have chitlins, we have macaroni and cheese, we have cheesecake, pound cake. So that's a lot of food with a lot of fat. And we just, hopefully just have it once, a little bit, because yeah.
It's everything in moderation. Enjoy the festival, enjoy the social moment,
Right.
kind of modify slightly and do more physical activity. So everyone knows how to moderate. So it's just thinking about the right thing and moderating the eating habit and physical activity. But the most important thing is we have to enjoy the festivities as well.
Yes. And Dr. Kendall, on that note, I'm going to say thank you for being our guest on the Great Lakes Health radio program on the first half, because listeners, stay tuned. The second half, we're about to, within 30 seconds, you will hear the second part of the show. Dr. Kendall, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And now on to part 2. And the second part of our program today, and I'm very proud of a program. It's our first year with Kaleida Health, and that's the UB externship program. So today's topic, we're talking about the UB externship program, the experience at Kaleida Health, because it is larger than Kaleida Health. And today's guest, we have Hagar Borden, who is the executive director of the program, and we'll let her share her title in a minute. And then we have 3 of our students. We have Morgan Granberry, and I know they're waving to us through the airwaves. We have Bo May, and we have Faith Togue. And they will, and all of these students, Morgan, Bo, and Faith, are all second-year students at the University at Buffalo. I can't say if they may be at Canisius, but the program is through the University of Buffalo. So on that note, I'm going to begin the program with the director, Hagar, who can tell you her title. And the first question is, what is the UB sophomore externship experience, and how long has the program been in existence?
Thanks so much, Francesca. We're really excited to be here with you today. And my name is Hagar Borden. I serve as the director of the Startup and Innovation Collaboratory that's powered by Blackstone Launchpad at the University of Buffalo. And this is our inaugural year for the Western New York Sophomore Externship Experience. And this concept is funded and generously funded by the Prentice Family Foundation with a very generous investment to support an opportunity for students in Western New York to explore professional experiences in the Western New York region. So we wanted to offer students that had just completed their sophomore year at university, whether it's the University of Buffalo, a Western New York college or university, or they may have graduated from a Western New York high school and went off to college elsewhere. We wanted to bring them all back to Western New York and explore opportunities for them from a professional lens. And so this is the program that we've developed. In addition to being externs, a fancy word for an internship, and we'll talk a little bit about that, they receive a lot of professional development experiences and support during their 8-week experience.
Thank you. And it's funny when you talk about an extern being an intern, it just reminded me of a song, but I'm glad to see. So if those listeners, an externship is an internship. How do students? How do the students we're getting ready to speak to in another minute or so? How do they learn about the program, which is a great program?
Thank you. So again, the externship experience is their first exit out of a university environment, really taking on a professional experience. And the students learn about it through academic advisors on their campus. We reached out to our local partners at Say Yes. We reached out to different organizations and through the various colleges and universities career centers in the Western New York region to let them know, to share with their sophomores that this was an opportunity for them. So we had a multi-pronged approach to recruitment of these externs.
Wonderful. Yeah, because it's so wonderful. This program, I know someone, when I first started explaining the program to friends, they said it sounds like there's another program. You know what? I'm just blanking on the name, but the whole idea is for students to, and everybody's a sophomore, correct?
Right. They just all completed their sophomore year at college or university, and they're going into their junior year. And we wanted to give them this experience this summer to provide them kind of an opening to explore their potential career path so that when they went back to their junior year of college or university, they could dig deeper into something, maybe change their major if that's what they needed to do to align with their interests, to add a minor, to take on a leadership role, to do more so that they went in with more awareness of the possibilities. And while we're going to be joined by 3 of the externs that are working at Kaleido, we have 47 students externing at 25 different organizations in the Western New York region this summer.
Yeah, and the companies that are part of it are also aligned with them, or I should say, do the companies that participate, do they align with the interests of the students, or are they maybe exploring students to new opportunities?
It's both. We're really trying to match as best we can the students with opportunities in the community. And for many of them, they're maybe adjacent to what their interest is. Many of these students are still defining what their long-term plan, what that dream job might be. But this gives them an opening into all the possibilities.
And students and listeners, I must say, your dream job today, and you work at that dream job, let's say for 15 years, and you may find another dream job tomorrow.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, so you're, hopefully this is part of your first dream job. That's why we want you here. Who funds this program? Is it a UB funded program? I know it's on UB's campus, but is it UB that does all the funding?
So UB is in partnership with the Prentice Family Foundation. The Prentice Family Foundation has a long established relationship with the University of Buffalo and Canisius University to fund and support our future leaders in our community through the Western New York Prosperity Fellowship Program. And this sophomore externship experience is a new opportunity for the Prentice Family Foundation to further invest in our community, in future leaders in the Western New York region.
Thank you. And for those listeners, Hadar just said Canisius University, and if you weren't aware, within the past year or so, Canisius College, right there on Main Street, excellent, university right here. So Canisius College is now a university. So if you're wondering where is Canisius University, the same place it's always been. It's just Canisius College. It's Canisius University. Okay, well, the exciting part. Let's hear from the students. And first, I'm going to call on Morgan. And Morgan, if you could just tell us what college you attend, what department you're in here at Kaleida Health, and how's your experience? Who's your mentor, and how's your experience?
Hi, so currently I'm a health and human services major at the University at Buffalo. And since I've been with Kaleida, at first, my mentor was the chief nursing executive, Marjorie. And then throughout this week or this past month, I guess, I've been able to shadow nurses and nurse leaders in units like the surgical ICU and the emergency department. This has been a really great experience. I think it really helped me at first learning the operations and management side of nursing, and then now being able to go into the units and see how the decision making has been implemented.
That's great. And you probably also learned this is a large building.
It's huge, yeah.
It's huge. All right. Okay, and we'll be coming back to you. Bo, is Bo on the call?
Yes.
Hi, Bo. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so Bo, tell us what college you attend and what department you are in, who your supervisor is, and how's your experience?
I am a student at University of Buffalo, studying medtech, and I started out with the president of the Buffalo General Hospital, Beth Huge, and then I was changed to Kaleida Lab on Flint Road. And my experience with Beth was at first I was tasked to call retired nurses and ask for interest in coming back. And it was very nerve-wracking making all those phone calls, but it really helped me improve my communication skills because I really haven't talked that much with many people before. And since I've been at the lab, I've been mostly filing human tissues and those tissues are held for 20 years. And in case of they develop new diseases or something, they can look back on the tissues and it can help those patients. And while filing those tissues, they were telling me how if I mistakenly file some of it, it'll never be found again, which was scary. But I love how busy it is. I know knowing that many patients are waiting for these samples for their treatment, it makes me very happy to help out.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, we had another extern who wasn't able to make it. We have Faith Toe, almost ready to cry because you're just making me so proud of the program. So Faith, if you could just tell us where you were in college, the department, who your supervisor is, and how's your experience?
Well, I go to the University at Buffalo. My major is neuroscience. And I work under Dr. Marshall.
Dory Marshall?
Dory Marshall, who is the chief of the Oishei Medical Building. And for the past month or two, I've been rotating in different departments. I've worked in the neurology unit and then the NICU, and then currently I was in the surgical unit. And I really, really love working in the surgical unit, which is a little surprising to me because I was a little bit scared to get in with all that action, but I actually loved it. I also love talking to the doctors and talking about their experience when they were becoming doctors and how they went about schools and stuff. So it's really been very educational and informative.
Wow, that is amazing. Edgar, what else would you like to share with our listeners about this this program and experience?
So it just warms my heart to hear the positive experience that these students have had at Kaleida, and you have all been so generous and gracious in opening your doors and welcoming them to your campus. I think it's phenomenal. What I've heard from the three of them is that, they didn't know what might be possible, and this has just solidified a direction for them. Maybe it sounds like Faith is more interested in a specific direction than she thought she would be, right? So it's awesome to hear that things have been confirmed through this experience, and they're gaining skills like Bo mentioned, like the communication skills are so vital to their long-term trajectory. So this experience has just provided that exposure and opportunity. I think I'd be curious to hear from the externs in terms of what surprised them about Western New York. They're students here at the university or students that grew up in Western New York, but what has been surprising to them about their experience this summer in Western New York?
We'll start with Bo.
Something surprising was, I think, that we actually have a lab, like an independent lab, where like all the test tools could be held at, experimented on, and I didn't know. I thought it was just like at the hospital, just a little like office, but it's a huge the place that everything is working on, and yeah, that was amazing. I really thought there was no independent lab.
Yeah, and the labs are we have labs, the lab building, the one that you're in, and like you said, I know you've been to a few of the other labs because I went looking for you. I've gone looking for all of you. Where I dropped you off on day one, I was like, well, where are they? Where are the students? I'm accountable. And they're like, oh, well, there's this here and that here. I mean, you all were in different directions, totally different from where I said, this is your location, and the labs is one of them. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. Next, let's hear from Faith.
Okay, so what is most surprising is how big and connected all the medical campuses and the hospital in downtown are. I realize like all the hospitals I've never like really grasped how big they are and how well connected they are. It's like I get from like UV medical school just like across the street from like Kaleida. Then you have Oishei, and then you got Buffalo General, and it's like a really huge place, and you can get to any place just from like one location.
Yeah, and that's true, and most of it's all connected. The buildings are connected, so it doesn't matter if we have a tornado or a snowstorm or rainstorm. You can just make sure you have comfortable shoes. And last but not least, Morgan.
Yeah, so I think the most surprising thing to me about Western New York has been, I know they call like Buffalo the city of friendly neighbors, but I've like since being in the hospital, I've definitely felt that it's such like a welcoming environment, and all of the nurses and like executives, they're all very friendly and approachable. And I guess I just didn't really expect that.
Wow. Okay. I'm just looking at something. Tell me, do you think that this is the area that you are interested in staying in, or has another area in the hospital, through your experiences, has another area piqued your interest, or in general has another area piqued your interest, or is the area you're working in what you want to remain in? I'm going to start with Morgan.
I think this experience has definitely solidified my interest in like healthcare administration, and then also like clinical nursing.
Mm-hmm. And what was your aha moment that you said, I think this is it for me?
I think when I shadowed in the emergency department, that was it was like kind of chaotic, but I think I would love working there.
Okay, yeah, that's I call that the adrenaline because you have to have
Yeah.
high energy in the emergency department. Faith, how about you? What was is this? Do you think you want to pursue your area in medical school, or that and something else? So, what do you think?
I still do definitely want to pursue going to medical school. I think this has really solidified it and like really makes me like want to reach that goal more than ever, especially in the surgical unit. I originally thought like, it's going to be too much like to handle, but actually being in there, I like loved it. I loved watching the surgeons like stitch up the patients. I loved every moment of it. It just like very encapturing.
Oh, so you saw that?
Yeah.
You saw what kind of surgery?
I saw an appendectomy. I saw a removal of ingrown toenails. I saw a C-section. I saw a couple of surgeries.
Oh my gosh, I fainted already. And Bo, so tell me, is this what you think this has really solidified what you're interested in, or are there this and other areas you might be interested in healthcare?
I think I'm gonna stick with lab because I really love how um they warn me like everything's like mundane and like mind numbing, but I love numbing my mind. Like I love just working on the same thing over and over, but like you know like yeah, I love the lab environment and also like this is where it starts. Like before the treatment even starts, this is where like you have to tell the doctors what do they have before they even give the treatments to the patient. And I love being like the middle person. And
Yeah, go ahead. Go
oh
ahead.
yeah. And they also told me the lab technicians there also tell me like the doctors are very demanding and stuff like that. And I would love to deal with the doctors.
Yeah. And I have to say for our listeners, Bo was the quietest, the shyest person. And Bo, I have to say, I mean, congratulations. I mean, I can see where this has really had a wonderful impact because you were really quiet and very shy, right? Didn't say much. And I'm just really I'm glad this has been a positive experience for everyone. And what was your aha moment?
Uh, when I was de-identifying tools, there's this where you send out test tubes to companies that want to do research on them. And so you have to take off like personal information on the test tube. And while taking it off one by one, I was like, I really like doing this. Like I don't mind how mundane it is. I really like it.
Oh, great. And Morgan, I didn't ask you what was your aha moment?
Yeah, I think you did ask, but I can just share again. It was when I shadowed in a nurse in the emergency department, and it was like no two patients or no 2 days were like the same. So it's very
And that is the
interesting.
world. Yeah, that's the world of healthcare. No 2 days are the same. It's real. And Hanar, I want to ask you, how did you get involved with the program?
So we were, as I mentioned, the Prentice Family Foundation has been in partnership with the University of Buffalo for a number of years, and we were looking for ways to continue their investment in the community and provide an opportunity for students from across Western New York to engage and benefit. They're always about developing the next generation. And we thought this would be another way to engage students and develop the next generation of our workforce, our leaders in our community. We recognize that students need to have these experiential learning opportunities earlier on in their university experience to help them define, to be more competitive, to just build their network, and be able to identify additional experiences that they could pursue beyond college. So this was, like I said earlier, Francesca, I am living the dream. I get an opportunity to live vicariously through these students, to hear the stories of these aha moments is a dream come true. So really appreciate Kaleida's partnership on this initiative, and we look forward to growing this program in year 2 in next summer.
Yes, yeah, we're equally excited. So for that listener out there with a student, with a child, a grandchild, a foster child, or the friend of a child, a child's friend, I should say, who is right now a senior in high school or a freshman at UB or Canisius University or Buff State, what's the process? How are they able to get involved in this in the externship program?
Sure. So I always say, if there's a sophomore in your life, what we want to share with them is to be on the lookout for an application to be announced in early October for students to apply to participate for next summer. They go through an application process, they have interviews, and then they're selected and matched with an organization. And for organizations out there that might be interested in taking on externs, we welcome those applications as well. And those applications will be out in September.
And where would they find the application?
So all of the information about the program can be found on the Startup and Innovation Collaboratory website, and that's buffalo.edu/entrepreneurship, and look for the sophomore externship experience.
And I know Kaleida is a large organization with over 10,000 employees, but and every organization isn't that size. So are smaller organizations encouraged to to apply so they can be that business to help shape the lives of our sophomores in West New York?
Yes, we're excited to encourage all companies of all sizes to apply to participate in this program. It's an 8-week experience for the students, wrapped around with professional development experiences as well. It's about 200 hours of on-site experience for the students. And again, the benefit for these organizations is to build awareness of their business, their organization with our future workforce earlier on, and help retain the talent here in Western New York. That's what it's all about, to rise and lift this community.
And what if they're interested in getting involved? Could you just, even if it's the same website, could you just repeat it again? Because the first thing I asked was, how would a student get involved? Now, how would a business get involved?
Certainly. So the same website, it's buffalo.edu/entrepreneurship. And there's information both for students and for employers if they're interested in getting involved in hosting externs for summer 25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember attending the orientation at UB, and I there was just not hundreds, but they had to be at least 40 different businesses. And I remember I don't even know what company it is, but they were talking about transportation. So they're urban companies, rural companies, suburban companies, it's all sizes.
All sizes, all industries, because that's what makes Buffalo unique, right? We have a fantastic mix of organizations in this community. But of course, chief to them, Kaleida Health is one of our largest organizations in our community, and we're so grateful for your partnership.
Thank you. We have like about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to start off with Morgan. Morgan, give me 1 or 2 words why someone in their freshman year should apply.
Yeah, so this is a great experience, even whether you know exactly what you want to do in the future or whether you don't. I think that being able to be with a company as large as Kaleida is like a very unique opportunity. And even if you're with any other company in Western New York, it's still a great opportunity to gain skills that'll definitely help you in the future with your career.
Thank you, Bo. And just a couple of words. Why would you encourage that freshman right now, going into freshman year, to look into this program?
If you think you have seen all of Buffalo, you haven't.
All right. Thank you. And Morgan, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, Faith. Faith, what would you say?
Usually around this age, there's a lot of kids that who don't really know what they want to do, or they're in a stuck position. And I feel like doing this actually broadens your experience and actually makes you want to know what you want to do later in life, and maybe can change it more.
Thank you. And I want to thank our guest today, Hadar, who is the executive director of the UB externship program. I want to thank our students, Morgan Granberry, Bo May, Faith Toga. And I just want to thank you, the listeners, for being part of our program, being part of our listening audience with the Great Lakes Health radio program. I'm your host, Francesca Messiah from Kaleida Health. Next week, you'll hear from my esteemed colleague, Cindy Bass from ECMC. And remember, if you are in search of a career, a job change, please visit the Kaleida Health website. That's Kaleida Health /careers. Thank you. Have a wonderful week. Be safe. God bless. Bye-bye.